Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Milica. I'm your tech support and your host today. And Radovan Bacovic will give this lecture today. The topic is DBT from zero to hero in 90 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a message through chat or to just raise your hand and speak freely. Thank you very much, Radovan. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for a nice introduction. Hello, folks. Good morning to everyone to this very rainy and bad day. So yeah, because you're on this place, I hope you're interesting, or I believe you're interested in DBT. I will share my screen and try in next 1.5 hours to expose you the power of DBT, which stands for actually database transformer or database tools. I'm not sure at all. And as I said, the next 1.5 hours, we'll expose a couple of things and some nice features regarding DBT. I'm actively using DBT in GitLab for almost 2 years. And I think it's super cool and also give you a power to transform data in a very elegant, nice way and put everything in integrated manner. Before we start, I want to share some ground rules with you, nothing special. Just please, as I said, duration is 90 minutes plus 50 minutes break in between, plus 10 minutes at the end for Q&A session. Don't be rushed, don't worry, this session will be recorded, it's already recorded, it will be shared with you, and also I will give you all material you need, including codes and everything what we talk about, and also execution stuff. So don't worry, if you miss something, you can return back later on, do it in your way and your pace. Regarding noise, please be muted by default. Q&A, if you want to stop me and ask a question during class, feel free to drop a question, but it's already said that. All resources will be shared with you. Everything is open to you, so feel free to use it later on and repeat what we talk about today. And please do not forget to enjoy this course. That's the primary reason why we are here. Everything else can be learned after. Regarding the agenda, I will talk about introduction, then installation of DBT, project setup, variety of versions of DBT, persistent schemas. Then we'll take some break, 10-15 minutes, depends how much you need. After that, we'll talk about documentation, how DBT generates documentation automatically, reusability of code, called macros in DBT, how we can run the project, automation, of course, no one likes to do it manually, some conclusions, what we learned, what is the next step for you, and also last slide will be about resources. I will combine here code, PowerPoint, and my GitLab repo, so it will be probably better for or easier for you to follow. Let's start officially. What is DBT? What is architecture of DBT or building blocks of DBT? What the plans are? What is the purpose of DBT? And how you can use plugins and some out-of-the-box pre-ready code for you already. Actually, DBT likes to answer a couple of questions about, mainly engineers and analysts have different tools to answer the same questions. And usually there are a lot of discrepancy. Regarding the transformation of the data, DBT will do it for you in an integrated way. So you have, let's say, one bundle, one project can do all of your transformations. These days also can be supported by Python, some machine learning stuff and things like that. But this is one-on-one course and we'll strongly focus on fundamentals. At the end of the day, we will have one project can be orchestrated among the data teams, engineers, analytics, machine learning engineers, data scientists, etc. Also, DBT can safely connect data development work so they can do everything faster because you have one single source of truth. You have your version control, you have IDE on your choice, you have your testing, you can automate the things, and you can quickly move forward with your data platform. And of course, data will increase, organizational knowledge can do that. So you will actually break down the silos regarding what is the single source of truth when it comes to transforming your data. About the installation, I do everything on Mac OS and I'm using PyCharm, but actually DBT is open source. You can do any tool you want to do. So it's up to you. You can do it by using Docker. You can use it in Windows and Linux, whatever you want. Actually, I'm a huge fan of Poetry. It's one Python library, can help you to manage your versions completely. And on this web page, it's already in the documentation. You can see how you can install Python then install Poetry, and through Poetry, you can easily install DBT. What is the, let's say, magic around behind this is you have something called PyProject.toml file. Actually, it's a definition file for Poetry. And inside that file, I will say, okay, this is my project, and this is the library I need, and this is a strict version or minimum or maximum or in between version I want to install any kind of tool. In my case, it's DBT plus Snowflake as a database, just for purpose of this demo. In that case, you can see easily what I need. I need DBT Core, DBT Snowflake, Snowflake Connect in Python, and Python 3.8 as a minimum version. When I spin up this command, this will install everything for me. Because of this tutorial, to be on the safe side, to be honest, I did everything for you in advance, and we can easily check what's going on. If I go and run Poetry version, I will see I have 1.1.14 version. Then next thing is to install DBT as a tool, and later on to initialize my project. Everything is done under the Poetry. Regarding that, what I need to do: install Poetry, install DBT, initiate my project, do a DBT setup for Snowflake, create configuration file, and test my connection. After 10 minutes, I will be 100% sure I have all components of my project ready to go. How I can do the things here: when I initiate my project in DBT, I will get a couple of files, and one of the file is DBT project YAML. It is a definition what my project will contain. As a second option, I will have a YAML file with DBT properties, how I can connect to my database. Let's check, do we have everything we need? Because I'm using Poetry, each command will have a suffix Poetry run something. If you do this using pip or pure Python code, it will be without Poetry run. So I would say Poetry run DBT version. I want to check which version is installed on my computer and is it installed properly. Everything is, let's say, latest version. I'm up to date, which is okay. Also, I can run Poetry, run. Then what I can do is DBT debug. Sorry, I have had here a typo. This command will allow me to check, is my project is initiated properly? Do I have connection to Snowflake set up, and does it work as expected? If I run debug, nothing will happen, not will be run process. It will just do a dry run to check is everything properly installed and initiate. If I run debug, I can see my DBT version, I can see my Python version, everything is green, which is cool, what we expect. I can see my configuration file, my DBT project file, and required dependency, Git in my case, because I can check it out from GitHub or GitLab or which Git you want to do. Then regarding the connection, this is my connection to Snowflake DBT. I use my private account for this purpose and tutorial. You can easily create that. So I have Poetry, Python, DBT, my initiated project, and connection to Snowflake. Then from my computer, I can easily run whatever I want and create the project. Let's start from the end this time. I prepared the project for you. We will decompose it one by one and cover all parts. But at the end of the day, if I want to run DBT, run. This is my project. And it will create everything, build all models, create all views, tables, do incremental load, upload all seeds, and do the magic. What's happened here? We can imagine we are done. When I say Poetry run DBT, run, it means run all models in a proper order predefined under the hood in my DBT project. I'm stick here with best practice in Snowflake. And then I create everything in raw, prep, and prod layer. For your information, I already have a data in the raw layer and have 4 tables. We will do all accesses on these 4 tables. Typical database for tutorial purpose, customer, nation, orders, and region. Then prep layer is my cleaning data, well-formatted data, assign the proper data type, and prod layer is actually what I expose to the outer row to my BI, to data scientists, machine learning, or to the business. So this kind of best practice, I don't see the reason why we can miss this in tutorial. So just consider in row layer, we already have prepared table. I will share also these things with you. If you go here, it's called DB tutorial, role, customer, nation, ordinary region. You can see data. Of course, pseudonymous the data, so you can see who the real person is, but this is also cool if you want to think about GDPR. Our project is done, and once happened under hood, it is running all raw to prep transformation, prep to prod transformation, all seeds and all checks. If I can do, instead of run test, I can run my test already pre-built in DBT. This means if I create some business rules and I want to check it on each of my model, actually model stands for table with the view, I can see what is the quality of my data automatically. This is the perfect case. I have 9 test cases created for you today, and everything passed fine. Of course, as usual in tutorials, everything is green. And let's start from the early beginning. We are done with our installation part. We are run with our DBT setup Snowflake because I have a one Genet object script here in Snowflake, so I can create all objects you need for this tutorial. I don't want to go deeper into this, but generally this is typical set of DDL statements to create users, roles, schemas, and test data you need. And after that, you will be fully able to connect to database in Snowflake and then to check your data and do your magic. So we are also done with poetry. We prove everything is done. I did this in advance to do not waste too much of your time. When you put your credentials, everything will be done for you. And also test configuration. Regarding the configuration file, we check it using debug command. You remember that part? And in that debug command, I can see, okay, I have my credentials, password is hidden, of course. I can see my config file for my project on a general level. It's for DBT project YAML. And then I have a good trusted connection to my Snowflake in this case. Good stuff here is when you create a DBT project, and in that today you're using Snowflake, tomorrow you can use BigQuery or any database by your choice, even DuckDB. This is a new driver these days using exactly the same code. So portability is really very, very easy. I won't say it's 100%, but almost. It's very easy to switch from one database to another because your logic is contained in DBT project, right? When it comes to version of DBT, you can use cloud version. Of course, you need to pay for that. You can use open source command line DBT version. We will use today, or we are using today, command line, which is open source, 100% free. In our company, GitLab, we are using that without any cost and can do the job for us. So serious project, you can fully implement in command line tool. If you're not a high level technical guy, probably will go for the cloud option. You pay something and everything will be out of the box ready for you. When it comes to our project setup, I want to configure global and local variables, set up Snowflake database. Actually, we already did this, as I mentioned. We are doing what? We create raw, prep, and prod layer with table only in a raw layer. Everything should be run automatically after that. So regarding the project structure, I will explain that part. Just to go back to my DBT. Second. And I just want to open my database again. Here we are. I need something to check the data. Regarding the structure, initially, when you initialize your project using poetry, you will have several folders, which I think is important to mention. Models. In DBT, model stands for any kind of materialization. View, materials view, transient table, or full table. I divide everything in prep and prod folder because I want to divide in prep and prod schema for my database so I can easily distinguish the business usage and leverage my data. I said prod layer is something will be exposed to the business. Everything else is just underlying stuff. DBT project YAML, most important file. I would say here, some typical stuff, project name, for which file I want to configure, because you have a configuration file for, let's say, development. You can have this different section in that file for production. So you can easily switch the context or environment you want to test something or to do something. For quoting, I say, okay, I don't want to quote anything. I want a full, fresh name without double quote any kind of name of my object. Here, you can define models. And I want to say, I want to give some tag. Tag is a good option because you can run your model by tag. You can find your model by tag, or you can easily distinguish your model by tag. I have a tag DBT tutorial here. And for my project called DBT tutorial, I have prep and prod layer. Let's decode one by one. For this prep, I would say I have tags prep and DBT tutorial. For prod, I have DBT tutorial and tag prod. This is not a mandatory field. It's a good, let's say, label hygiene you want to put inside your project so you can easily find, run, debug what you need. And I said, okay, from prep layer, I want to use schema prep, which is actually this database tutorial, and schema is prep. And I have some tables there. Materialization for this layer or this piece of project means table. What does it mean for you? You will create your model and it will be materialized or saved as a table, which says, okay, whenever I create a model, I will have a table. If you type a view here, all of your models will be view, like create view as select something. Let's back to the table here. And from prod intentionally, deliberately, I say materials are view. Everything I want to put or store in prod layer will by default will be view. This is good to consider. Why? Because you have single source of truth. Okay, this is my project. This is how I want to define some static values, some initial values. Later on, it can be overwritten on the model level if you have some special case. But mainly I say, oh, okay, I have a prep layer, I have these models, and I have materialization with the table, right? And this is our global against local config. This is just one example. If I go to customer, I can see material is incremental. So this will override this setting. Why? Because this is general on the project or prep layer level, and this one is on model level. And I say incremental. We will come and see later on why this is important to save your money and your time and create something as an incremental. About persistence and how you want to save your models, we touched this part, but we have something like seeds. This is important to know. When you start your project from the scratch, you have some very static values like list of currencies, list of countries, which is not frequently changed. In DBT, this is called seeds. Usually it's a CSV or CSV file or TXT file. You should upload from time to time. As I said, it's not frequently changed, so you can consider these seeds as a static data. In our project, I give you an example of seed, which is actually under the seeds folder, and it's called region CSV. It's just a set of regions, and I want to upload it so I can later on join the data. So this is a good use case if you have some static table, something very, very infrequently change. And after that, we have a table as a part or strategy to persist your data. Table is a physical reflection in your database, which means and start with create table, create replace table as, and it will be physically there. Increment is a special case for table, and it means I want to do incremental load. This is very handy option if you use increment in materialization. You have a very large table. You can imagine load your data once per day. You have zillion of records today and zillion records tomorrow. This table will create table. But if you put incremental command, as you can see there in this value, customer, it will load only incremental part where it stopped yesterday. You can do a full refresh, like, okay, I want to drop everything and create from the scratch. If it change the structure, we'll cover that part also. But incremental load means give incremental load. This is handy because you can save a lot of money because you do only delta load for, let's say, today. If you load the data per hour, you can just load the data for last day. View typical database object like create or replace view is just a logical representation based on the query. Your results is never saved anywhere. It's generated in runtime and I say, okay, select from this view. Also handy if you have kind of complex logic or you want to filter the data, but also you want to save some money so you have no persistence. So if you run some report, let's say once per month or once per week, it's good to have a view because you can wait 1 hour to generate your report. You can wait a couple of minutes. If it's not critical in time, if it's not very frequently generated or requested, you can use view. That's just my 2 cents. Regarding the full refresh, it's also a great mechanism in DBT. If you have some structure in your models and something you change, you alter the table, drop the table, you see incorrect in your data, you want to fix the data, you just want to run full refresh. It means I drop what exists and create everything from the scratch with new or even same structure. About the testing, in each model on model level, you can define test case, what you want to check for your models, which is also good because you can easily create a lineage of the data. Like, okay, I have dependency, DBT will take care of all that for you. And after each model, I want to run tests. Is this file mandatory? Is it unique? Is it not now? Do you have reference? Do you have accepted value and things like that? So it's fairly easy to integrate everything you need inside the one project, and test case can be explicitly named in a file. About the reference, when I want to create a model, I will show you now what's going on. Let's create or analyze one model. I have table nation in my row layer here. And this is what I have in nation. Pretty much raw data with some bad naming convention, uppercase, IDs, foreign key to region, some comments, and I have updated data when my data has been updated here. What is my intention here? I want to move it to prep layer, clean up the data, check the data, and see do we have everything I need. So actually, raw layer is really a raw stage. Prep layer is more like prepare and ready to eat data, so you can do some serious analysis. How I can create a model? I create a file inside my folder like prep, and it's called nation dedupe source. Dedupe source is a good option if you want deduplicate the data. So in that case, if you have a duplicate data in raw layer by some case, in prep you want to clean and get rid of duplicates, so you're 100% sure there is no bad data when it comes to duplication. So usually I put a suffix dedupe source, so I know, okay, I will clean the data at this stage. First section is not mandatory, of course. This is for purpose of this course. And I say config, which will override my config in DBT project. Nation dedupe source say materialization is incremental. I can imagine this data set is big, even if not. You have maybe a couple of hundred nations in the world. I can define unique key, which is ID in my case. This is not a hard check for uniqueness. It's just a soft specification. Say, okay, this is my primary key, but Snowflake is MPP database and we're working with analytics part. So there is no strict rule about unique key. I just want to declare this, what this is about. And this is a typical way, typical select statement to create a DBT models. What is very interesting here? I'm not using a raw dot nation table. I use a reference. Here we are talking about reference, which brings us to something like to have soft reference to some table. And I need to define what is that. This is good because I can easily change our underlying objects or source of my objects or even database without changing the code itself. This is very handy. Instead of source raw nation, I can type something like DB tutorial, and actually result in my case here will be the same, but I will stick with bad practice and make it more generic here. What's going on? I have a source YAML file, and I have a typical YAML mnemonic with tags, of course. Good to have it here, not mandatory, but good. And I say I loaded this model or this source at field updated that, which is actually my last column here. And I have a schema row and description. This is raw data tutorial with tables. And this define my sources. From here and here, schema is raw. and table or identifier is customer or nation, orders or region, I can say, give me what I need from source YAML file. This is a very cool feature in DBT because you can generically determine your source of the data. If this is not nation anymore or something else, you can keep identifier nation, but you can rename the version 2 and you're done. Your code will not be changed. No find and replace, no any problem with that. So it's good to consider when you create a model, better is option to use reference and your source data about from where you want to get the data is in source.yaml file. So you have source YAML, you have your model, and then later on you will have schema YAML as a result. Nation dedupe source is typical select something, and then what I want to do here is to rename a column a little bit, to assign the proper data type, to have a typical, let's say, analytics SQL code styling with statement, and this is good to know. This is a Ginger template which is implemented organically in DBT, and it said if my load is incremental, I will pick up only the latest state of the data where I stopped last time. If I have full refresh, this will be ignored. And this value is assigned here. So this means when I converted this query, we will see later on what I will get. And of course, I will pick up only the first version of my row in case I have duplicates. That's the reason I have nation dedupe source here. Let's check this poetry, run DBT, models, DBT, run, models, region, or nation dedupe source. I will skip full refresh for now. And I will run this model to see what's going on. See, it's running. And it said I start incremental model. And it's success in 3 seconds. And everything is green, what I like. Good stuff. You have a folder called target, compile and run. And I want to see what is run here. This is my model. And this is my SQL statement, what I have. Based on my rules, my model will be created here. This means this will run under the hood. So this is a cool stuff because you define your model in typical SQL way, what I want to have. You have a references and you can define incremental or full refresh. If I change the structure, I can do the same and say, okay, full refresh. This will delete my model and create model from the scratch. So if I change timestamp to date or varchar to number or float, or I add new column or drop some column, it will be a different stuff. So I can go here and see nation. And instead of merge statement, because I run full refresh, it said create or replace transit table, and there is no incremental load. So it means this is a fully purged and created from the scratch. If I go here, now I'm in a prep layer. So I have this tutorial row nation here, nation key and underscore name and region key and comment in prep layer. Let's see what we have. Now it's in much better shape with name, region key, command, and updated date. So I can see some values in this data because it's clean up and it's ready to move forward. What is also cool, when I have this model, I don't want to run the model. I want to test the model. What is the difference? When I run a run command, actually I create and generate my table for my incremental model in this case, so full refresh, doesn't matter. When I run test, I create test cases. I will show how it can be done now, and then run test on the top of that. As we said, to recap, we have sources, we have our model, and outcome of our model is schema YAML file, which is actually YAML which define my target or created models. And I say, not this one, sorry, but that one. Where is my nation, the Hadoop source? Here. I have a model called nation, the Hadoop source, which is actually name of the file here. I have description. We'll talk about documentation later, which is generated automatically, and it's also cool stuff. And we have a columns ID and name for now. I'm not interested for now, region key comment or updated date. What I want to show you here, how to create a test. You define the column called ID, and I said, okay, for column ID, I want to create test not now. All you need to do is do not type any SQL statement. You want to declare for column ID, I want to have not null constraint or not null test. For name or column name full name, I want to have tests unique and not null. I just want to show you, this is random general test, what can be done. So if any of these tests are failing, you will be informed. So the command I want to run DBT test is poetry run, DBT test, and model name. So this will run tests only for this model. You remember in the beginning, we just have run DBT test without naming the model. It means, okay, run all tests for the entire project. If I run this, I expect 2 tests to pass in this case because I run only on my nation model. See, everything is green. Sorry, I have pretest. One for ID not null, which passed fine. Name unique and not null. If I have a duplication like name Iran and Iran again, then I will see this failed, then I can fix. Also good stuff for debug is to go into the target folder and see what's going on, what your project generated in a SQL statement. Long story short, to recap, when I create a model, I combine SQL, I can combine Python as well, and Jinja templates. Under the hood, DBT will generate pure SQL statement based on our definition. And even better, will capture the lineage if you're using source. So if you have unlineage or very complex object or very deep hierarchy, DBT will do it for you and expose it in a graphical way. I will show you how. So this is our first model. So congrats on that. And now we have at least one table to see what's going on. Next step for us is to create some nice, cool reports. But before that, let's go to explain schema in details and touch some things about the documentation. We already talked about schema when we create our model. In each folder I have, let's say if I go to prep here, let me close almost everything, I don't need it. If I'm in prep and go to schema or sources here, this is the way I define my sources. I can hard code the name of schema, database, and table, but it's not a good practice because let's say if you switch from one to another environmental project, you can easily switch the name of your table or schema. And here easily you can predefine what you need. So this is also good practice to create source.yaml schema for your models or model, depends how you start. And also please take care about tagging. It's fairly good in the future because you can easily find or run only what you need. You can imagine you have 10 products and you want to ingest the data, transform the data of 10 products in your warehouse. You can do a tag for each product and you can run only one product or 2 products, or you can exclude one product, run 9 of them because DBT allows you to run anything, including tag or excluding tag. But good to know is to have that liable FEGN. So everything you need regarding the source is declarative way to put in source.yaml schema. You can do that without this hard coding table schema and database name in your model, but don't do that. It's really a red flag. Once when you create a model or set of models, in this case, I have 4 of them, I create schema.yaml. This is handy for me. Why? All of my documents or documentation for the project will be generated from this file. So as much as you put information here, you will make your life easier for your data scientists, BI guys, machine learning engineers, and analytics. Why? Because everything you put here is a description on model level, column level, test level will be visible in the documentation. We will generate a document later on, but good to know. If you put it here, you will see it there. The second option about the documentation is to have a rich text in Markdown notation. Okay, I have description here, model contains data about the customer, but let's say nation, the dupe source, I want to provide in more better way to have some images, graphics, bold text, some bulleting points and everything. This brings us to one additional file, which is the end of our story when it comes to complexity with files. Inside of your folder, I create prep.doc.md. And this is the notation, Markdown notation you should use. This is also a Ginger template. And I say, okay, I have documentation, nation, the dupe source. And I say blah, 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 and this is bold. So you can do a rich formatting on your documentation. And also I can say, where are you? This is 1, this is 2, this is 3 something. I want to have better visibility about my models here. So this will be generated document, and this one will be generated document as a reference. You can see DBT is full of reference because Ginger template is under the hood, and it connects the dots for your project and provide everything. For each model, as we said, you can have a name, description, you can have a column, name, ID, name, whatever. Also, what is handy up here, for the column, I can have a description. This is common for column ID, and it will be visible in our documentation. We already mentioned tests can be not null, can be unique, can be reference, and can be allowed values. This is the special case about accepted values for one test case here. I will try to do this later on, or we can do it now. Why not? Poetry, run, DBT test. But for models, call region, the dupe source. And see what's going on. In this case, you already have some guess. I want to run DBT test only for region the dupe source model and see DBT generates the test name and test cases for me. I have unique, not null, and accepted values. If I go here and see my regions, the dupe source, I have Africa, America, Asia, Europe, Middle East, and IDs from 1 to 4. I did some workaround and deliberately want to fail my test. We'll run the command again, but you will see accepted values are 0, 1, 2, and 3, and I have 4 here. This is the catch. And then you can easily check, oh, okay, I have a column. What it said for me. EID, I have accepted values for 1 to 3, but I found something else. And I have a calculation here what actually failed. I can see also in my compiled model this SQL what it said. So if I go here and open the file, there you check. Okay, this will generate for me. If I go back here and I turn 4, I want to accept in my database check. This will pass this time. Why? Because I have something from 0 to 4. See, no failing this time. What is also interesting for DBT, we mentioned seeds in the beginning, some kind of static data we have, and actually this region is not part of DBT project, but initially I uploaded as a seed. This is also fairly easy to run as a special part of materialization. So I have a set of seeds, it's on my computer, and inside the seeds, I have region CSV. So you can see here, and I can say this is test upload. and what I want to do with this file. I can say, okay, poetry, run, DBT, seed. If I have 10 seeds, all 10 will be uploaded into the raw layer, because in my project here, I say, okay, seeds, I have tags DBT tutorial, and also defining my profile file. By default, row is my initial schema. If I run DBT seed, this region CSV will be uploaded in my initial database row. You can see easily here, region is uploaded and inserted. If I go here and check, you remember we say test upload here. So actually this is what we can do it more frequently. If regions are changed, which does not happen very often, we can upload it here. Oh, let's go and check a few more things before we start with the break. So regarding the schema, we cover source YAML file and share some best practices. Put everything there. Do not hard code your table schema and database name in your model. Do it more in a soft way, in a generic way. You can easily maintain your project. Regarding the schema YAML, the more information you put there, it will be more visible in your documentation, and your documentation will be reached. Support all of your models. Of course, you just cover one of these with test cases. The more, the better, of course. And then you can run it after your model is created. You can easily catch the error, and you can see actually the shape of your data. Regarding the schema YAML, source YAML, you can do and put everything into the YAML file. As we said here, this is one example. What I want to do, I could have bold, some italics, some links, whatever. I can put Google, and it will be rendered as a hyperlink. Also, you can put a picture, you can put a text, you can put Mermi diagrams, everything supported by Markdown by default. In that case, you can easily have a very nice documentation generated in a second. If you change your project, regenerate documentation that can be automated as well, then you can see everything you need here. Just give me a second. I want to run it for you before we start the break. Poetry run, DBT docs generate. I just press and run this command. What will happen under the hood? All of your models, all of your reference will be generated in one JSON file. On the top of that, web page will be created with another command. You can see here, we have a catalog JSON. This file is generated based on the definition of our project. And in that case, you will see all metadata of your project. Bigger project, the bigger this will be, this catalog.json file. Actually, this is a baseline for your documentation. Also, very powerful feature here for DBT, I like it the most, is I can do poetry run DBT docs and serve it to port 8001. And it means this catalog JSON will be a very readable and nice interactive hyperlink page. And that's it. So actually, conditionally speaking, we are fully covered with documentation for our project. We didn't type anything specifically. We didn't create a web page. We didn't define hyperlinks. We didn't find nothing. This is out of the box for you. And this is the great power, because you can easily collaborate and communicate with other folks in your data team. I think we are just running on time, and I would say, let's take a 10 minutes break if you're okay with that, just to clear your mind a bit so you can recap. If you have any question, drop it in a message or chat so we can move on. In the next part, we will cover, let's say, more advanced feature regarding DBT basic stuff, in sense, how to generate report, how to enrich documentation and models with some other features. But let me do a short recap here. Actually, what we cover. We create or install poetry. On the top of that, install DBT, initiate our project, and specify the credentials for our Snowflake database in our case. As I said, it can be database by your choice or what you have. You can do Postgres, BigQuery, Snowflake, I think Oracle, MySQL, you name it. They're also out-of-the-box connectors to many databases you want. And inside your project, you have a single source of truth for your documentation and your models and your business logic and your tests. Also, persistence can be table view, also can be incremental model, or can be C. There's also some snapshots and some advanced features, but for the beginning, I think it's super important to understand. Why? Because of the costs. You need to pay when you run any kind of computation. As I said, if you have a super big table, you will not run full refresh of the data table every day. You can run just incremental stuff. If you change your logic, if you change your structure, you can run a full refresh and have everything in a really good shape from scratch. On the top of that, you can create a basic documentation, you can create a basic test cases, or you can do advanced using Markdown notation. We already explained that in schema.yaml. As a result, you will have a fully covered project. And then after the break, we will start to analyze this documentation, exploration, and move on with some advanced feature. What I want to show you later on is how you can run full project, how you can run specific model, how you can run specific set of models, or how you can use something called selector. It's a new feature in DBT, can help you to keep your running command in a structure. And then later on, we'll talk about automation, of course, or what I type here is very primitive and lazy option, but if you have any serious infrastructure, you want to automate this. And I will show you how you can do it very quickly or weapon by your choice. So now we're right in time. See you in 10-15 minutes and wish you a great day. So it will be kind of second part of class. Take some break. I will stop sharing and we'll move on in 10 minutes. I hope it's okay for you, right? See you soon. Is it okay for you, tech support?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much and see you in 10 minutes. Okay, folks, I'm back. Hope you had enough time to take some break, grab a coffee, do whatever is needed to refresh your mind, and we will be ready soon in a minute or two to continue. Okay, I think we are also on time now. Last time or last class, we talked about how to generate documentation. We also covered how to create a simple model about table persistence, view incremental, cover some seeds, references, documentation. Sharing on the top for us is generally a document about our project, which is cool because you can easily hide connection details. You can easily hide whatever is not needed for your stakeholders or your colleagues or teammates and analysts, data scientists, machine learning engineers, and so on. This is cool because they don't need to know anything about how and why you use the data. You just expose to them interface with all the details and all explanation. Cool stuff here about documentation. As I said, it's out of the box. Just run two commands to generate JSON file and to generate this website, which is fully hyperlink. You can see the database without knowing actually which producer the database is. You just can see the schemas and databases. Inside the project, it's called DBT tutorial. You remember we have seeds, it's our region, and it's very nice to see our tags, you remember. So we can see everything regarding our tag called DBT tutorial. Simply, it's all object in this project. Then, if you go to seed again, and if everything is hyperlink, you can see owner, it's account admin in this case. Type, it's table, you remember that. Package and relation, where actually we store our data from seeds. And you have approximate size, modification, row count. This is not documented, of course, but you remember our prep layer. and the nation. It's much more descriptive here. You see, it's our prep layer inside DBT tutorial database, and it's protecting access with row count and size. What is cool here? You remember description with the markdown, and this is bold. Let me find the file. So from this markdown, we got this. This is bold, this is hyperlink, this is numbering. You can put there anything you want literally, which bring and gives really enriched documentation for your users. Everything they need is here. They need to ask you or search somewhere. What is cool? You remember list of columns and description on the column level. So this is description on the model level or table, view level or whatever. And this is description on the column level. Test, not null. For the name column, it's unique and not null. You can see more details here. And also you can see the type. So fully descriptive model out of the box ready for you without typing anything except description we need. This is generated automatically and this is in sync with your change in the project. A reference, you remember this? This is related to top customer. We didn't speak about this model yet, but actually this is a lineage which is crucial for you to understand the flow and traveling of your data. Later on, we will talk about lineage. I will show you the full lineage for, let's say, one model starting from this seed. Tests. What kind of tests we have here? And where that model or that test is applicable. Also, source code with parallelization for your model. Also, let's say, any data scientist can understand what you want to say here. What is the outcome and actually what is the source, and do you if you use incremental model or not. Or what is my favorite feature, or one of my favorite features here is this one, lineage. I'll move myself a bit here. You can maximize this, and this is good to understand the data. You have a row layer nation, and its correlation nation, the dupe source, and you have some report called top customer. We will cover that later because we have some interesting feature for you. Easily you can navigate through here, through this. If I, let's say, refocus to node, or go to top customer and refocus to node again. This is actually what you need. And this is actually what is a nightmare for most of data engineers without this kind of lineage. This is generated automatically. This is here to show you the full flow of your data. And also you can easily include something. I can say select only tag called prep and update graph. I will see only prep. Or I can see only prod, what I expose to the business. Or I can see everything and update the graph. In my case, I have a report or prod model called top customer, and it contains dependency or reference to three models, customer, nation, and orders. And these three models are coming from source. This can be more complex, you can imagine, but of course, for this tutorial, this is one-on-one session. This is fairly simple usage. And if I'm interested to go order the dupe source, I can go focus or node, or I can go directly to documentation. So I can see actually the document in the same structure I exposed to you. Oh, this is 50 million. This is kind of bigger one. In a very simple way. So from seeds, prep and prod regarding the models, I can see everything I need in the one web page. You can expose this to the business and they can use what they are allowed to use. So of course, this is handy for you. So this is a story about documentation. Just to recap, most important stuff is lineage. See, full traveling of your data in one click. If I go here, I can see the documentation for this. I can see the models, I can see the test, and I can see many other stuff. Okay, we'll keep this open and go back to my project. We need to do a few more nice features here. What's happened if honeymoon is over, and what happened if there is some problem with your model? Then you should debug and try to find what the problems are. In that case, when something is generated with these SQL, Python, Jinja templates, you can see everything in run folder. We showed it already, but yeah, let me do one more time. And let's say, let's go to poetry, run DBT, run models, nation dedupe source again, boom. What's going on? Just to repeat, DBT found 7 models, but as I said, okay, give me nation dedupe source. It will run only my model here. And if I go to target and run, you can see exactly the same hierarchy as I have here. And this is actually what is generated when I run the model. And because I run nation dedupe source, let's break it. And then you will fully understand what's going on. Same story again, 7 models. I pick up this one, what I define, boom, error, why? You can easily see what's going on. If I go here, I can see what was executed, or in this case, it's compiled, but it's wrong, right? And when my DBT project try to generate this on Snowflake or create something or replace something or merge something, it's a compilation error. If I actually go here and try to run it directly on Snowflake, probably we got the same error. Yes, that's true. If you change it to BigQuery or any other database by your choice, you'll probably have the similar error, but you got the point. This is how you should debug something. So let me close this one. I don't want to see it. I want to put it in a proper shape, run it again, and DBT will run my model. And everything should be fine now. And what's going on under hood? My SQL query is generated. If I go to prep layer and run it, everything is in a good shape. So I can easily recreate as many times I want. This is good for development. It's fairly cheap and it's very quick to do your magic. Then, what's going on if you have a repetition of the code all the time? You can imagine a situation, you have 1,000 models, most of them are quite similar. There's some repetition, there's some patterns. You notify what is the answer for that, because DBT has a very powerful community on the open source Sky, and there is already pre-built for you some kind of code templates. In our world, in DBT, it's called macros, and you can guess it's inside folder macros. What macros are? It's Jinja templates for SQL code, or combination of those two technologies allows you to create a code template, and just on the execution time, it will be rendered as a SQL or Python or your code. I have a simple CT macros created for this purpose. And I said, with something, an input is my tuple list. This is not 100% readable, let's say Python code, but this is a Jinja template. And I said, okay, input parameter is my tuple list. And while you have this tuple list, create select star from that table. It means if I say to my model, simple CTE with list of tables I want to have, like select star, it can do that for me. Then, to be on the safe side, I can document my macros. And I said, okay, these are macro section, and this is my simple CTE. And simple CTE means I have empty file. Use it to simplify CTE impersonal model, example is select star from table, etc., etc. And it means you have very nice documentation regarding what this macro can do for you. And there is no more repetition. Then what you need to do is just to call your macro. Let's do that together. You remember our top customer model. And I said, okay, I'm now not more in prep, but in prod layer. And I said, in DBT project, my materialization is view. And actually, this is not needed because it's just a repetition. But new stuff here is simple CT. I called it macro. And I said, okay, I want to have customer dedupe source, and alias is customer, nation dedupe source, alias is nation, order dedupe source, it's order. Good stuff here. There is no hard code. These are references. Why? Because also in prod layer, I can say my sources are what? These tables. And I have description, and it's coming from schema prep. So you can follow up with your raw layer, move data in prep, moving the data in prod with nice definition in between. But it's a soft reference definition. It's not hard coded. I can easily change the table name and it will refer to another table. My project will be the same. Let's decode top customers again. This is just one model. I want to build on the top of several models here. You see, I'm using 3 models. So this will generate select star for these 3 tables. Then I want to join the data and expose it with, let's say, top 10 customers sorting by total, how much they spend in our imaging company. Let me do like this. Poetry, run, DBT, run my models, and it's called top customers, run. What will happen? This will be generated instead of simple CT, it will be generated as a select star for these 3 tables. This will be transformed, and my view will be created. Ta-da! What I have here, this is working fine, and this is view, so you generate a little bit longer. You can imagine it's running time. It's not persisted anywhere. It's just a logical representation. Join me this data, pick up the top 10, order by this, and expose this customer from France, from Romania, Russia. No. You see the problem here. Total is 0. So this is kind of bug created by me intentionally. Why? I have orders total as a number, expose as a number, then I want to summarize this total column. And what is wrong here? If it's null and summarize null, you will get null. So this is a good trick, and say if null, I convert it to 0, and then it's total. Then if I sum up everything, it will not be 0, because I ordered this top tutorial by total desk. I put nulls as the first place. Of course, I can fix this, set nulls first or order by nulls last, whatever. But to be on the safe side, I want to show you the good stuff here. And do not forget, DBT modeling supports the all SQL function you have for your desired database. So there is no anything combo here. Full functional is what you can be provided for you. Then I run again models top customer model for you. It's a view, it will just create a view, and then let's see what's going on under the hood. Target, run, prod, top customers. Create or replace view, and this view comes from DBT project materialization by default from top customers. Then this is our macro. So this become this. As I said, I have array list and say select star, select star, select star. I hate select star personally, and I will avoid this, but generally for this purpose, this is just to expose you what can macro do for you. Then everything continues here. And if you go to see our top customer, see it's compiling, you can see a total as a number, so there is no more nulls. So that's the story about how you can use macros, references, some advanced SQL function, whatever, and create a kind of prepared report for your business. It's fairly easy if you understand what you're doing. And also, please stick with best practice about reference instead of hard coding. It will make your life much easier. And also, this report can be visible in the documentation again. Let's pay attention there, just to serve. And I want to generate my documentation again. Usually this can be automated, of course, on commit or some pipeline. And my catalog is built now. It's still less than a minute. And I want to expose it to port 801. Boom. I have it here, my fresh version. Projects, macros, simplicity. This is what I want to show you. Also for macros, you can have a fully documented page here with the source code. Each of your engineers, if you're working in a team, and I hope you're working in a team, or if you're working for yourself, can remember what you mean in that period of time and what this will do for you. So this is a great combination or exercise how Ninja templates and SQL code can do the thing for you. If you go to the models, to the prod, and have top customers, if I go to the code, I can see my change here. As well, I can see simplicity. Also, I can see a macros I'm using in my model. So you can see everything is connected. You can easily go where you want to be and what you want to analyze. Aha, so simplicity is my macro, I can see there. But this macro is used in top customer models. And this is source code for my model. And don't forget, let's maximize this one. How powerful is lineage for DBT for your top customer? Then you can go back and check how this data generated and from where this is going. Unfortunately, this is not yet on a column level, it's on a model or table or view level, but also super useful for you. As I said, you can easily pick up the package, resources, tags, exclude, include, etc. This is the, let's say, a long story short, how you should run, create, generate, check, test your model, despite type of persistence. What is the next sketch for us? In your business, definitely, you will not run all projects or models all the time. Sometimes you need full refresh for something. Sometimes you need partial lineage of your model. There's plenty of options you can use to run different type of the data. I will show you a couple of them. This is my documentation. I will share it with you. This is my repo where I actually created this tutorial. I want to run specific model or models. This is interesting. You remember top customers and you remember lineage here. And what I have here, poetry run, DBT run, models plus top customers. If I have top customers, say plus on the left, it means everything upstream to my top customers. In this case, this on the left side, including top customers, will be generated in a proper order. DBT will take care about this dependency. That is important. Why it's important to put reference instead of hard coding. Then DBT can catch your lineage. Let's say you change this model, but you want to reload the data for downstream or upstream models. In this case, you will put a plus here. That's super important stuff. If you run it, you will see there's 7 models, but DBT will run a couple of them, not all of them. See, prep customer dedupe source. So I'm running this one. Then I'm moving to the next one. And at the end, I'll share your top. It will be top customers model. See? This allows you flexibility to run whatever you want. If you have zillion models, you can run only related to one product, all related to one tag, or exclude one tag. The second option can be run everything regarding order, dedupe source, and plus on the right side. It means everything downstream order dedupe source. It's also a good use case. So this is done. Or if you can have plus model name plus on the both sides, it means, okay, this is my model. I want everything upstream to be run, that model plus everything downstream to be run. Also good lineage, also good case, use case what you want to run. Of course, you remember tags. I can say DBT run select, but not model this time. I want to say tag prod. And wherever I have tag called prod, I can run the model. If I go to sources or schema, we can see prod. In that case, when you run this, DBT will pick up the tags with prod and run only that models. Prep will be untouched. Usually it's a prep and prod in my case, but you can imagine if you are dealing with hundreds of products or you have a variety of crossing the data, you can easily filter or isolate what you want. See, prod is a couple of views and it's fairly easy to run. You're just replacing the current view and that's it. Also good powerful command instead of run something is to build something. And if you use build instead of run will run your models or your tests or your tags, whatever you specify. Build will create everything out of the box in one shot. It means I will run a model, I will run a seeds, I will run a test on that model. If it fails, I will stop. If it's okay, I will continue. Also, this is a cost-efficient way to think about your project. Gazillion models, if first model failed, everything should fail and it will run if you use run command. Good practice, use build. If first model failed, it will stop until you fix it, it will not move on. With build, also you will run your test cases. It means model, seed, test, model, test, and so on and so on. You can combine build with models, with tags, whatever you want. So just instead of run, use build command as a good practice. Of course, there are some use cases you need only run instead of build and things like that. The last improvement regarding the how you should execute or how you should run your project or part of the project is something called selectors. You can imagine in a complex project, you have DBT, run this model, this tag, exclude that tag, include only this part or this folder, etc. It can be really long sausage when it comes to the readability of your command, which is crazy ridiculous. There is something called selectors YAML file in DBT. This is a really good place for you to integrate all of your running commands. And this is a selector YAML file. I will close other tabs. And it's called prep only. And it said run prep layer only description. And I said, okay, I want to run this tag prep. And I can say intersection this or exclude that. Generally speaking, whatever is here can be translated to selectors YAML notation. And in that case, I want to avoid complex command. Instead of running my sausage, I will run my selector. Poetry, run, DBT, run selector. Sorry, happen. And my selector name is prep only in this case. What will happen? DBT will go here, translate the directive, and execute my command. This is a very simple case, but in real life can make your life much easier because you can create union, intersection, and a statement here. And here, I will just run prep layer only. And I can also exclude prod, or I can exclude, I don't know, Google products or Facebook products, whatever I want. You can imagine when this scale, this is your saving device. We already talked about the testing before. And also there are a couple of built-in type of tests. Not null, reference, unique, accepted values. And it means we cover everything here except the reference. The reference means just a typical foreign key on a soft level, not hardly. It won't be rejected if something is wrong, but your test will fail. And in that case, it's fairly good feature in DBT to keep this Hagen with testing and increase your testing coverage, because you can easily integrate everything inside your project. There are plenty of tools you can check your data, lineage, governance, whatever you want, but it's cool to have it inside one bundle. It's fairly easy to maintain everything. Of course, it's hard to be in sync if you have 2, 3 singles, not single, triple source of truth. You don't know what the truth is, right? Here in schema YAML, you can easily define what you need for your tests. And as I said, you can have a general schema or sources, but I divide everything in a prep layer. This is also advice for you when you started. Separate part as you want. It can be logical, it can be per product, it can be per team, it can be per zone, it can be gold zone, silver zone, it can be raw zone, whatever you want. You just stick with this raw prep and prod layer, which is also okay. Anything you want to use it. It's also fine and okay. And also word or two about running the test. As I said, you can combine the run command with test command, with selectors, with models. Also, you can run a tests just for this selector we have, which is also good. You can create your models and separately run tests. With separate is the two jobs. Why? Because we can easily have what we need and we decrease the cost. Maybe this build command is good for starting point. If you do a run DBT just test, this will run test for the entire project. Now it's much more obvious what was our goal, what we achieved. And each of these tests from these schemas and this schema will be run here. And expect everything of them to pass because there is no problem. Also, I show you the case if something failed. What I can do here is to update something to null and then run it again, it will fail. But you know the drill and how it's going. Also, good stuff about tests is everything is documented in your documentation. You can imagine if you put it somewhere outside of the project, it will be fairly hard to integrate into the current documentation, and you can miss your goal about keeping the test coverage on the high level. But this is also cool. You can separate run, you can separate test in a very, very easy way. And also from the start, try to use selectors. Of course, you should be very the high version of DBT, which is a 1.15 or something, or 1.5. But this is a good feature to consider in a future for your product. So mainly, DBT is nothing but a lot of YAML definition, some good markdown documentation, cool SQL stuff, cool Python stuff. We didn't cover that in this course. This is 101. And also now even machine learning models can be implemented directly in DBT using Python, which I think is a perfect combination. It's just my weapon of choice. But on this one-on-one level, I think most important takeaway is to understand how DBT is working, what it's doing. It is transformator. It's not extraction or visualization tool. It's transformator tool. Very, very good. Do one thing, do it very good. And then to recognize how you can extend your code with macros, how you can document everything you need, how you test your code, etc., etc. Also fairly easy to switch from one database to another. Just change the connector in your definition and you are ready to go. Regarding our tutorial, we cover this part, how to run the project. Models, DBT run, DBT build, testing for the entire project, for one model, for one or two tags, selectors, very good practice to integrate everything into one file. You can easily manage and maintain your running command. Long story short, use selectors, use schema and sources, create preferences, create test cases. And of course, no one is crazy enough to run this every day on manual basis. Maybe sometimes it's okay, but if you're in a bigger team or bigger company, even a smaller company, you want to automate it some, or you want to automate the process. In our case, we run this daily, hourly, whatever you want, and use a couple of tools. Also suggest to you, you can use it. About automation, there are plenty of tools on the market, on open source Sky. Simply, you can start fairly small with cron jobs, like put your command into cron, or you can use Duckster, out of the box tool for integration, data pipeline transformation, and everything regarding data engineering, or orchestration tool for Airflow. It's open source tool, fairly easy to create Airflow task and let's say run this command. And that's it. You can say in Airflow, run this every day, run this every Tuesday, every hour, every minute, you name it. Of course, you can use GitHub, GitLab, whatever you want to create automatic pipeline, but my preference is to use Airflow. If you have very small starting project, startup, use cron, or even use some manual tool. It's not a problem. If you want to have some ad hoc analysis, you can fairly easy put your command and automate the stuff, or you can run it on demand as I run here. So I can say, okay, poetry, run, DBT, build, and all my project is run. Now we can wrap up everything, what will happen. If I put this command in cron, Airflow, any other tool by my choice, this build will run all models, run all seeds, run all tests, and run all checks. And I'm fine. This is a very small model. You can imagine the project it can run for a days. And you have logs you need. And now you can see specification or recap on our project. I mean, built on this tutorial before this tutorial. And I have 7 models, 9 tests, macros. Most of them are built in. 1 seed file, sources. I have no exposures to the outer world yet. And then once when this is done, I will have my project run. So regarding the automation, you can choose what you want to use to automate the process for DBT project or partial of that project. If you're using DBT cloud option, they have everything built in there. You just need to click on the page. But if using client line or command line interface, open source version, in other words, it's up to you to automate your process. My suggestion, best practice, Airflow, Duckster, cron, whatever you want, any kind of pipeline. And you can see our small, cute project is done. Everything is green, just to bring joy to my life. And there is nothing more to consider regarding that. Of course, it's up to you to learn more, to enhance your knowledge, and to see what you can going deeper regarding DBT. So let's close this slowly and make a conclusion. Typical question is what's next? I always recommend official DBT documentation, Slack channel for them. Everything or most of things are open source. You can find a good community there. You can find a lot of macros, great documentation. Just check DBT Slack or DBT documentation. Regarding the resources, what we talk about today, actually, including I hope this video tutorial will be here. You can find the address here, and I think organizer can share it with you. All resources will be there, including code, all models, reports, and I think it's a very good starting point to learn, to repeat what we talk about today, or to continue and go deeper with your knowledge and your experience. Of course, if you have any kind of problem, just ping me. We'll try to fix it to support you here. But main point here, you have a good fundament, and now you know what to do. You can easily fork this repo. It's open source, it's public, and you can do it by your own. But you have a skeleton at least to think about basic stuff about the DBT and really ramp up your knowledge in your production-ready code in a days, I would say. And generally, this is me. You can easily find me on LinkedIn, and also I'll be Data Science Adria 2 days from now. I think on Thursday I will have a talk about some different topic. And please ping me to meet me, take a coffee chat, everything you want to discuss. But I would say DBT is really rising star and mature enough tool to can provide you really good leveraging of your data and your process when it comes to the data world and enterprise data platform for very, very humble costs, even for free. As I said, if you're not confident about your technical skills, use cloud option. There is some demos, tutorials, some free tier, whatever you want. And before we close on this repo, you can find anything, everything we are talking about and we mentioned. So this is kind of good dashboard for you to start or continue exercise your DBT journey. And I wish you luck because of that. I think we're right on time now, and I can say nothing more than thank you for your time, your patience. I know online is fairly sometimes difficult to be focused on what we are talking about, but this recorded session can help you a lot just to fast forward what you're interested or what you miss. And nothing more than thank you very much for everything. And now I give microphone to tech support for some word, or if you have any question.
Thank you very much, Radovan. As I can see for now, we don't have any questions. No, we don't have any questions. Thank you very much for a fantastic lecture. It was very educational.
Thank you very much. As I said, if folks can any question, can ping me on LinkedIn or everywhere else, or can ping you. I hope you will share this video with them, and also we can attach it to our repo, so it will be fairly easy for them to repeat this one more time. As I said, this is one-on-one session, but this is a comprehensive. I want to touch every part of DBT on that basic level, and probably it's very, very difficult to remember all the stuff, and that's not the point. It's just a point to provide the walkthrough, and later on they will go deeply in the part they are interesting. I think there is something Q&A, just a bit. Thank you. Thank you, Myra. And I hope we'll speak to you soon. Anything you have, you know how to find me. Have a great day, and I hope you'll be joined in vivo and conference in Zagreb later this week, right? See you there.
Yes, of course. I would like to take your attention for just one moment. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, Michael Yakshich's lecture won't be held today. I'm very sorry to inform you about that, and I hope you will all be enjoying the rest of the streams that are available. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. Have a great time and great day. Happy learning. Bye-bye.